Welcome to the Nurtured Nerds Epic podcast.
Come join us and get cuddly, get gaming, get nerdy,
and get nurtured. Yay.
Welcome to our 8th episode.
Wow, 8 episodes. Can you believe it?
I don't know. It feels like it's been 100. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, thank you for joining us once again. I'm Alyssa, also known as the IRL Support Main. I am a cuddle therapy practitioner and a nerd of many things. But, you know, our main nerdiness here at Nurtured Nerds is video games and fantasy and sci-fi and role playing, all that wonderful stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and and I'm the creator of Nurtured Nerds. So that's me.
That's awesome. Thanks, Alyssa. And I'm Mary, and I am also a nerd for many things. Yeah, I like sci-fi, I like fantasy, I like some games. I wouldn't call myself a hardcore gamer, but I like them. I do some. And I am also a cuddle professional, and I host cuddle events and things like that. So yeah, we're here to talk about cuddle stuff and nerdy stuff. You know, it's life, right?
Yeah. You talked about this a bit before we started, Mary, but yeah, what's going on in your life right now? You said you have a different setup than usual.
Yeah, I'm actually in Park City today. I'm on vacation this week, so I just got here. I went to dinner. I sat down about 5 minutes ago to log in. So yeah,
I really appreciate that you give me some of your time.
If I'm wiggly, it's because this couch is not comfy. Missing my desk at home already.
I know, I would too.
Yeah, but I think vacations make us appreciate home. You know, it's good to have different walls to look at for a little while, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, yeah, this place is awesome.
Definitely. And it's good to have a change of pace, change of
absolutely
rhythm.
I needed a break.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad you're getting it then.
Thanks.
I just came from a wonderful soul happy hour with one of our previous podcast interviewees, Susan Lee, aka Blaze. That's her awesome soul name.
Nice.
Yeah, and Gita was there as well, and one of our previous interviewees, Garvin, was also there, and yeah, it's just a really fun time to connect.
You feeling
I highly recommend it. Yeah, definitely.
Recharge from that?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So today we're interviewing 2 professional cuddlers, one who we've seen before, Crystal, our lovely Crystal, and who Gita likes to call a trailblazer or pioneer of cuddle therapy, Samantha Hess. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and then at the end we'll talk a little bit more about our care package that we're raffling off at the end of May. So we'll get into the details of all of that later, but for now it's time for tea.
Time for tea.
Yeah. The tea of the episode it's my kind of workhorse tea. It's just a jasmine green tea. It's from the grocery store. It's a Simple Truth organic, although I'm not attached to that brand or anything. But
I like Simple Truth. They're good. They're a good brand.
Yeah.
I have a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, so just some basic green tea with jasmine, and it's very delicious and very soothing. So I'm doing. Anyone else drinking anything awesome?
Yeah, I'm doing my chamomile tea again, my sleep tea, because I hope I sleep really well in a new place.
Oh, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good consideration. Keep yourself relaxed.
What about our guests? What are you guys drinking? Sam?
I'm drinking water.
Water.
Very unexciting today.
Always drinking water. That's my water
like
jug.
In the 80s here today, and so it's too hot for tea.
Oh no! I'm getting worried now. You just I hadn't even thought about it until just now, but I love tea so much, but it's getting hotter. It's getting into summer.
Sun tea.
That is such a good point. I should make that on my balcony.
Oh man, it's the best. I love keeping cold beverages.
What about you, Crystal?
Yeah, Crystal, what do you have today?
I'm rocking coffee today. It's a
Coffee.
little late. I'm trying to stay awake. I'm feeling fresh, so I got the coffee. It's mushroom coffee. It's my fun mushroom coffee. So it's like super.
Okay.
What kind of
super weird.
mushrooms?
So I use it's 4-sigmatic, and they have like lion's mane in there, and they have cordyceps, and it's like super healthy.
Nice.
I recently started drinking mud.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So
It's
that has
good.
both of those, lion's mane and cordyceps, and some other awesome things, and chai. I love chai, so I really like the way it tastes.
Yeah, Mudwater is a really interesting brand that they try to like promote less caffeine and more weird stuff.
More
You're
weird
not, like, drinking
stuff
from a puddle in your
Yeah, not
yard.
actual,
I just
not
go
actual
outside
mud.
and just dip right into that.
I have not heard of this, clearly.
I saw an ad for it on YouTube, and I was like, you know what, YouTube? Okay, I'll actually look at this.
Me
And then I looked at it, and I was like, this sounds really good. I want to try it. And then I did, and it was really good. So I'm going to keep having it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did see that ad too, but somehow Mudwater doesn't draw me.
It sounds really gross. Yeah.
2 out of 3 professional cuddlers recommend.
There you go.
2 out of
There
3
you go.
cuddlers recommend.
I haven't tried it yet though, so I can't say
Yeah.
yay or nay, but
I've noticed that I feel very
intriguing.
like even like I'm not energized to the point of being jittery. It's like a very like even keeled kind of energy and just
Nice.
openness and flow.
Yeah, I
Or
need
it
some of
helps me
that.
get into that space anyway. I'm not saying like it's literally like obviously it could all be the placebo effect. Like let's get real. The placebo
feel ya.
effect is very powerful.
It's true.
So maybe it's just I'm drinking something that tastes good to me and that makes me happy. I don't know, but yeah.
Sounds good either way. Well, let's have our guests introduce themselves a little bit. Let's see. Samantha, do you want to go first? Just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and
Oh, goodness.
and what kind of nerd do you consider yourself, or do you consider yourself a nerd?
Yes.
With all the games behind you.
I am a collector of tabletop board games, vintage especially.
Nice.
So I am Samantha Hess. I am a professional cuddler, technically a master cuddler. Still getting used to the title change. I'm an author, a blogger, a Patreon person. I run certification programs for one-on-one professional cuddling. I offer one-on-one professional cuddling sessions. I've had retail spaces and trained lots of folks to do this work. And let's see, the ways that I'm nerdy are really the like I play Stardew Valley. I love that game. I nerd out on Cuddle Poses is my jam. 96 and counting.
Oh my.
Nice.
And like really getting into the nitty gritty of like baking and like the science behind like why things work. And gardening currently.
Cool. I love gardening too. It's so nice out right now in Utah.
And
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, when you can like get all of the information behind it to actually make it work right. You don't have to have a green thumb at all. You can just be a nerd about it. So much better.
It's nice. Thanks, Sam. Oh, do you what do you like to be called?
Sam. Yeah.
Just Sam. Okay. I thought so, but I thought we could ask you for everyone's sake.
Oh, you're sweet. Yeah, Samantha feels so formal, but my publicist makes me go by it so people know I'm a girl.
Oh,
It's marketing.
marketing.
Yeah. But in real life, I go by Sam.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, cool. Let's hear from Crystal. Crystal, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us what kind of nerd you are.
So my name is Crystal, and I'm so happy to be here again with you guys. I am a professional cuddler and have been doing it for, I want to say, about 3 years now. And I'm so happy to say that I actually trained with Sam. She was my initial instructor, which was amazing. It's been a magical journey. I am also a single mother of 2 beautiful children who mean the absolute world to me, and I talk about them all the time. Very much a nerd about them. And very much a nerd about video games. I absolutely love Zelda, and I love playing video games, and I love being a dork for Taekwondo and martial arts. And I love plants too. I was so excited to hear both of you guys say, Sam and Mary, that you love plants, because I love horticulture, and I'm not that good at it yet, but I say that never give up.
I'm in that boat too, Crystal. I love it, but I cannot keep plants alive.
Yeah, still working on it. It's a work in progress. I can do cacti and succulents really well.
Same
That-
here.
Not those.
I have an air plant. I started with 5 and slowly it's dwindled down. I have 1 left. It's been a couple years, so we'll see.
Me too.
Yeah, I killed
Been
my
there.
air plant.
And I have an Easter cactus or whatever you want to call it. So
Mm,
I think those are beautiful if I
nice.
can picture it. Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
oh, and I have 2 Marimo algae balls. And I have like just a jar with a bunch of loose algae. So
That's awesome. I think I've had
that's what
one
I can
once.
do.
It's all good. It's all good. Whatever growing green thing makes you happy. That's what I think.
Agreed.
Yep. Let's see. Well, let's go back to Sam then. I know, Sam, you started before a lot of us did. How did you first get into cuddling? How did what was your initial impression and what got you into it?
So my basic story is that I married my high school sweetheart. We spent almost 13 years together. And at the age of 28, I realized that I could spend the rest of my life miserable with no touch and no ability to give or receive touch because of the weird jealousy, codependent relationship we had, with no sense of boundaries or consent. Or I could do something about it. And so I left my ex-husband and then got hit on by like 30 of my friends very unexpectedly and realized I really need a hug. Like, where's the Starbucks for hugs? Why isn't this a thing? Where do you go when you don't have emotional capacity to reciprocate with the shortcut of financially offering, can I give you money so that you can hold me and I don't have to care about you? I need that. Can we make that a thing?
Yeah.
And I decided if anyone can make that a real thing, it's me. And then I saw Jackie Samuel from the Snuggery in an article and I was like, yep, that's it. This is my life now. And here I am, almost 8 years later, still a professional cuddler.
Nice. And is it the right route for you?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough in a lot of ways that I didn't expect or could never have predicted. But it's also the most beautiful thing ever to have an immediate impact on somebody's life.
I love it. Yeah, I agree.
That's a great story. I'm still kind of letting it sink in.
Yeah.
And then it's even you weren't the first. You were influenced by somebody else and they were influenced by somebody else and it just slowly trickled out. And it's just been this amazing thing to see. And even though I wasn't there at the beginning, even now just looking back on that and hearing your story, and yeah, I'm just so glad that we're all here right now. All our various journeys up to this point, to get us here right now. And here for all of you wonderful nerds who want connection and know that it's valuable, know that you're valuable. And I'm just so honored to be a part of that. Yeah. So Sam, you know so much, you've been doing this for longer than most, like Mary said, and you have so much knowledge and experience. And so I'm curious, how would you contrast your experience early on with cuddling versus how it is now that it's starting to gain more traction, more people know about it and are accepting it, and just what has that been like from then to now?
I mean, that's a big part of why I created a certification program in the first place, is because when I started, I had to figure it all out through trial and error and realized pretty early on, tickling is not a thing that I should allow in my sessions. Okay, that's good to know. It doesn't work for me. For some people, sure, but not for me. And yeah, realizing when I wrote my first book, I had a cuddle pose party at my house where all my friends came over, and obviously this is way pre-COVID days. I'm like, oh God, people in the same room. We all tried out all the different things that I could think of and like absolutely vetoed some poses right off the bat and came up with like a whole big set of poses, and they all showed me all the things that they did in their lives and started with that. And it was so cool to be able to see, oh, like I can create like this magic flow experience where I can help shift someone through different poses and help them be able to like really dive into their mindset instead of focusing on the touch, because that can be my job. I can do the difficult parts of creating what the flow actually like looks and feels like in order for people to do that work. I had no clue how to do that in the beginning.
So what was that like, having all these people in your life who were open to trying this and experimenting with you? And like, was that something you had to kind of build up slowly, or were they just already there and like ready? And how did you navigate that?
I mean, I first had to like dive into my own self-care. I had like started that process earlier when I got divorced, but you know, there's so much work getting to like be a whole person who is able to give from a place of abundance rather than from a place of need. Which for me felt like a big ethical hurdle. Like, I'm not going to be taking from my clients. That's not appropriate for me. That doesn't feel right. They're paying for my time. Since they can't pay for the touch, that has to come freely, you know?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is such a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. And so I had to go through that whole process of like, I like you, Sam. I like you, Sam. I like you, Sam. I want to love you, Sam. I'm not there yet, Sam. Doing all of these things to like really like learn how to say I love you, Sam, and mean it and like feel it and own it and know it. And then I could say, hey, I'm going to be weird and be a professional cuddler, and you can all think I'm going to get raped and murdered, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have to. And then constantly, like, I'm just such a proactive person that I was just like, hey, do you want to try things that, can I ask you questions? You're not open to cuddling? Okay, how about this? Can we talk about this? But that's how I am with every topic in my life. So people who know me are used to that. And yeah, we definitely like got to try a bunch of different things. And so I practiced on all my friends as if they were clients and did all the consult stuff over and over and over, and then worked up to like, okay, connect me with a friend of yours that I don't know. I need to do this before I actually try on a real stranger.
Sounds like it's been so much hard work, but that you've also found so much joy in it. Like, I can just see it and I can hear it in your voice. And I love that you were so open to that, knowing that it would be really hard, but also knowing that was really important.
Yeah, I kind of get called out a lot because I'm like almost an anti-feminist, in the sense that I feel like men get a bad rap. They have to prove that they're worthy of trust before they're given it. And that feels so hurtful and wrong. And so I want to like empower women to set their own boundaries and have that be honored, but also to prove that every human is worthy of trust without having to earn it first. Like, if I know you exist, I trust you until proven otherwise. Not the other way around.
I agree with that. I try to do that too. I love that philosophy. It's like, you know, you gotta
unconditional positive regard, right?
Yeah, well, it's acceptance. You know, it's like that's a big part of the cuddle community. Like, if there's respect, then I accept you. You know?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even if you don't respect me, I accept you. I just don't want you near me. But you know,
you just don't get to touch me then. That's
right.
The only difference. But
that's
I still
right.
respect you.
I still respect you. You're a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying about like how I've been drawn to work with men because I feel like that is a big problem in our culture right now, that men have such a bad rap, and they have learned to think of themselves in bad ways as well, which, you know, when you have a lovely, tender human being, that's so damaging. You know. Yeah. Anyway. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm crying a little bit right now.
Oh.
So sweet.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I love working with the men that need the confidence boost, because there's a lot of stuff about women and being victims, but men are victims too. Right. So yeah, so I feel like that's something that doesn't get talked about in our culture enough, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's getting serious here. Crystal, what about you? How do you feel about that?
I was actually really excited to hear all of that. I very much learned, one of the biggest things I remember learning when I originally trained with Sam was actually that you are as safe as you feel. You're in charge of, and you're empowered to create the situation, to be in charge, to maybe take care of all the little steps that make you feel safer, having a safety buddy and being as prepared as you can, and making the space your boundary, like making sure it's in a comfortable, safe setting. And I think that really is imperative in cuddling, as well as it helped me to learn how victimized a lot of men do feel, how a lot of times women unfortunately put their headspace in that mindset of, I'm the victim, he's hurting me, or he's not doing something right, when sometimes they're just trying to be romantic, they're just trying to be sensitive, and lines can get crossed, but it really comes down to boundaries, and it really comes down to you kind of speaking your mind. And I think that has been one of my biggest lessons throughout these last couple of years, which is amazing. So thank you, Sam, for that.
Good work.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
That's amazing.
And it really has given me an appreciation for gentlemen and fathers and single men and just humans,
Yeah, and we have our own power. I mean, every individual has their own power, and once you're comfortable using that, you're going to stop 99.99% of the world, because most of the 99.999% of people in the world are not out to get you.
Definitely.
they want to have a good connection with you. That's what we want, and that's what most people want. And if something's happening that's not quite right, if you just say stop, no, I mean it, they'll stop.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that's your power, right? So yeah.
And there's way easier targets out there.
Definitely.
Being honest, if somebody really wants to do harm, a professional cuddler is not the person that you should be going to.
No, probably not. We know how to handle it.
Yeah, people who know boundaries. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck. Can't do anything wrong. Not possible.
Yeah. But there's so much we can do just with being strong in boundaries, and I love what you were saying, Chris, about finding your own power and knowing that you have the power to create your own safety. That is something that I try to do with the people I work with in my events and things, of like, you have the power, use it. And when you do, you can help keep your own safety. So yeah, that's awesome.
So where did the name Cuddle Up to Me come from? And were there any other names you considered first?
Yeah, it was like, I was just on like GoDaddy or whatever, like typing in the shortest names I could find related to cuddling that weren't taken. And even back then, a lot of them were already taken.
Wow.
People have to get real creative. And so Cuddle Up to Me was just the first one that actually like didn't come up with any hits on it. And I like realized years later that it's actually kind of a terrible name, because the acronym is CUD'em.
Oh, geez. Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So it's like the Cuddle Up. Yeah. So, yeah, just anything that was close to cuddling, that was my goal. So, yeah, I did not have ambitions to take over the world at that point. So it really was just me trying to do this. And it made perfect sense. Yep.
It's all good. It's all good. It works.
Yeah.
So actually, I do have a question about like cuddle poses. You said are your jam. You nerd out on poses. And for me, poses or positions are not the focus of my practice. So I know the cuddlers come at it from different directions. What's your feeling about that whole, I don't really want to call it a controversy, but it's a difference in cuddle practicing?
I mean, my whole goal with my training program is to give people opportunities to learn as many different concepts and techniques in order to be able to utilize the service in their own way.
That's
I am
great.
not here to create an army of clones. I do not want everyone to be just like me. I think that there's valuable information for people to use and glean, and that whole like take what works for you and throw out the rest. So with the training program, I'm like, the only thing that you actually like have to be able to follow is the first 2 pages of the 90-page thing. Like everything else is just tools and resources at your disposal. You do with it as makes sense for you.
No, that's good. I mean, I agree with that too. Like, I want to learn all the tools in the toolbox so that I have whatever I can to offer.
Yeah.
I've just, I mean, and I've done position labs with my events before, and people like it because, you know, it's like dancing with a partner who knows how to dance. You can still have fun dancing if your partner doesn't know ballroom dancing, but when they do, then they're a good leader, right? Do you agree with that?
I do think that knowing all of these different cuddle poses, knowing who, when, why, and how to use them in order to create a flow in a session creates a magical experience that I could not otherwise provide to my clients for myself. It's like, I at some point need to give you a session, Mary. So you can see my style, because I think
I'd love to.
It's one of these things that like until people experience the flow of a session created in that really like deliberate and intentional way through the poses, like you just have no clue that that could even be possible.
So it's like cuddle yoga.
Cuddle
in
yoga.
that way.
Definitely.
There's like a sequence.
I feel that.
It's like a curated
what are
session.
Your thoughts on that? Did you feel like you benefited from learning the poses?
Oh yeah, I think that first off, I wanted to say that the session that we had, the initial session that you and I had at the beginning of the training, was a very wow moment. I mean, we were in the dinosaur room and there was nice lights set up and just the eye gazing, which was a lot for me. Still is, by the way, even to this day, but so magical.
I love it.
It did feel very much like we were kind of moving together, if that makes sense. A very smooth, wonderful transition. And I remember being very, very wowed by that. I think that the poses give people, again, another tool in their tool belt or toolbox. And I think each individual client is different and each individual cuddler is different. So it's so great to just be able to have access to that. I think that the flows are also so helpful in transitioning an anxious client or transitioning someone who's really concerned or confused. You know, there's some people that they're like, we're easygoing, you know, whatever. But for people that have high anxiety levels, I found the flows to be very, very helpful. So I love them. Super in.
Nice.
Yay.
So you are deliberate calling it poses, because to me as a performing artist, a pose is a performance kind of a thing. And does that fit what you're trying to say with it?
Yeah.
So when
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, no, I was actually just going to say that when I originally trained with you, Sam, you know, one of the things we talked about was changing language and just making language as safe and appropriate and just kind and kind of keeping a mindset. And so poses was something that we kind of worked on or that she helped me learn instead of positions, just kind of a different way of looking at it, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit less sexual, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Being intentional with language. And
Yeah.
it's like, what is the meaning you're conveying? And it's not even necessarily just about the meaning you're intending. It's what's going to be received, like regardless of your intention.
100%.
Yeah, because you can't force anyone to see things from your perspective, no matter like what your intention is. So yeah, that's really important. Being mindful about your language.
Yeah, trying to like desexualize the experience for people when the only experience a lot of my clients have had with cuddling was pre or post sex. For me to be able to have language that isn't related to that world helps like keep it compartmentalized into this box of platonic cuddling. I also like am a big advocate, and I am clear that I do work as a persona. I don't treat my clients the same way I treat my friends, and that's part of how I avoid manipulation with my clients is by acting very differently with them than I would someone who isn't paying for my time and attention. So I want to be really clear with them that I am here for them, in a way that I wouldn't be for any of my like regular life peoples. I'm not considering my own wants or needs. I'm considering my safety. What I'm there for is you. Like, this is my job, is to be there to like be supportive and kind for you. You don't have to take care of me. You don't have to consider my wants and needs. You're not responsible for my safety or well-being. That's on me. You're responsible for your own. And that's part of like, if we have these poses that are very deliberate, then you can decide what you want. Oh, I have this name in mind, and oh, I want to feel like this right now. So can we do, you know, Tarantino, whatever it is. Perfect.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's something that you discovered because you said you started out like mostly with friends.
Right.
So then like, but then you started going into like, oh, recommend someone that you know that I don't know. And then like, was that something that you built up kind of slowly of like discovering this is what I want my persona to be, my professional persona?
I mean, the persona is something I still work on. I mean, I have to learn with every single person how to interact in the healthiest and safest ways possible for me. And so every single person that I encounter is me learning how to be the right persona for that person. I have to be that chameleon, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I've experienced that. I recently had an online event where one person came, and I actually had a personal connection with this person. And so I asked, do you want to talk to Cuddle Facilitator Mary, or do you want to talk to your friend Mary?
Right.
Because they're different. They're
are
very different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, you know, part of like avoiding that codependency where they are relying on me is because I'm not treating them like I would my friend. I'm giving them way more care and consideration because I'm limiting my own interaction on that end in order to provide that space.
And you feel like that allows you to not have to expend as much emotional energy or emotional labor?
No, the opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That is
Yeah,
really
the
interesting.
opposite.
Yeah.
Where you're not expecting the emotional stuff back. So it's all giving.
And not even that, not expecting it back, but very deliberately avoiding receiving.
Right.
Like even like I literally had this happen this morning in a session where my client has been working with me more than 7 years. He reminded me today, which is pretty cool. And he said, you know, I don't think you've ever actually answered this, but is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything that you want? And I'm like, no, I'm here for you. Like, that's not how that works. And it wouldn't be appropriate for me to receive from you. That's why I have to get my needs met outside of these sessions. It's because otherwise you're paying to take care of me. And that's
not right.
Cuddling anymore.
So what does that look like for you outside of sessions, meeting your needs?
So right now it's mostly my Patreon. We do 3 weekly events, and we have several people in our group that have attended like most or all of the events every week, all 3, and we've become really close. And like as a super extroverted person, I'm like completely devastated by the lack of people in my life because like the only socializing I get outside of my boyfriend who I live with is the 1 day a week that I go spend 3 hours masked helping my little sister with her kids in her garden. I don't see any of my personal friends in real life. It's not a thing because my work is so important to me that I put all that on hold. And so I meet my needs with my acupressure mat and meditation and Zoom calls and you know, throwing myself into other aspects of my life, gardening and games. Yeah.
When you were talking, I had a question and wait, I just had it and now it's gone again.
Oh no.
Where'd it go?
Exciting.
Oh,
I talk a lot.
Yes, I've had that experience too, where I have to train the clients like, you're not here to take care of me. Right. I haven't really gotten past that yet. I still have to like work on it.
Well, and them giving to me can be feeding that like their needs. You know what I mean?
It can, but it's just like, you know, when you're in that situation, like you said, the only experience you've had is personal interactions, so they feel like they have to take care of their partner. Right. It's like, and I have to say, you know, no, I'm here to take care of you. What do you want? And I have to keep reminding them. Do you guys feel that? You guys do that?
Yeah. So, well, I guess this is really something I'm wondering for all of us, because I'm wondering, just thinking about my own experience with this, is like, if a client is wanting that experience of, I want to like give you nurturing, like that's part of me meeting my needs, is giving you nurturing. Like, how do you receive that? What does that look like for you? And like, what shifts for you? And if they're saying like, no, I really want to give you what you want, like, how do you deal with your boundaries around that? And like, do you have any clients where it's like, you have like maybe one or two clients where the dynamic's different, or is it the dynamic like very much that same boundary with all clients?
I've been talking the most, so I should give the floor to others for a bit.
Crystal, do you have an answer?
Yeah, so I was going to say, just definitely like you, Mary, I've run into that hurdle many times where a client, where I didn't know how to vocalize, and I felt that they wanted to give me and be more in like a friendship type of thing. And so I think that, just as I've progressed, it's really been important to feel into myself and actually just trust my gut and be like, well, is this right for me or for the client at this point? Am I doing right by the client? And the hard part is that it's not always easy to navigate. And I think it's a constant growth point. It's a constant point of reflection. And again, it's so individual per client. But I think that what it looks like is open conversation and direct dialogue with a client a lot of times. I think, I try to do it like vetting a lot. Like I try to really be intense with the vetting prior. And then once in the session, I try to allow myself to open up more. But I've still gotten into situations where I'm like, well, I just think this person is thinking of things differently than I am, and I need to, readdress it. So it's a constant readdressing, I suppose.
Yes.
I'm learning.
Great answer. Great answer. We just have to evaluate everything in the moment with and every new client, and every moment with a new client, with any client, could always be different.
And that's why self-care is so important, because self-care really helps you like feel into yourself more and feel comfortable with yourself, and like kind of own those gut feelings.
Nice. Totally. And I think like one of the big differences between massage, like being a massage client and being a professional cuddle client, is that here people can actually have that reciprocal touch, which you can't get in massage. And I think a lot of people who seek out my service in particular do so because they do feel driven to give like comfort or like that support through touch, and that's something that does feed them. And so for me, because I'm very much focused on personal development with the clients who are open to that, I am constantly asking for clarification. Like, so when a client says, well, what can I do for you? I'll say, well, tell me about that.
Where are you coming from with that?
Tell me like what the goal is behind this. Like, what is that feeding in you? And I will have that conversation in that moment and like make sure that I really understand what it is that they're seeking, and making sure that there's clarity for me around why it's important for them to do that, or to readjust if they just felt like they were doing that out of habit, or like to like overcompensate. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Have you ever had a client give you advice or try to give you advice, and like, what was that like? And was it even helpful, and how did you receive it?
I definitely know people whose love language is like giving advice. I know that's not one of the 5, but that is a thing for sure. And I do sometimes get irritated by that, because I try my best to not be an advice giver myself, because I don't know how to live your life better than you do. And you don't know how to live my life better than I do. And so I do my best to set boundaries around that as required, but also to allow people that room to like share the thing that they're excited about without taking it too personally,
I agree. Sometimes just listening to them give that advice can be helpful for them. Like it almost lets them get something off and get something off their chest, and like kind of convey it, and then you can kind of just soak it in and be like, thank you, I'm moving on.
Something I learn more and more is that for me too, like usually when people give advice, it's because they need to hear it. Not because they not really
Yeah.
like that you need to hear. It's like they need to hear it somehow.
Agreed.
Or when I'm giving it, it's like I really need to hear that thing that I'm just trying to make sure you hear. It's like, no, really, I need it.
Yeah, I've actually started doing that with a lot of my Facebook posts. I'll go out on this diatribe and I'll be like, I actually wrote this for me. This is to myself.
Yes.
Unintentional diary entry.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, Sam, hey, I've been wanting to get your book, but I haven't picked it up yet, so I apologize. But it's called Touch, The Power of Human Connection. Alyssa's got it right there. She's modeling for us.
So sweet. I know. I think I forgot to send the media kit over that has the ebook version.
Oh, I didn't even know you had a media kit. I guess that makes sense.
So I will make sure that happens.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why don't can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so I wrote the book Touch, The Power of Human Connection back in 2015, 14, a long time ago, basically. When I got this like crazy media attention way back in the day, and then got that 10,000 emails in a week. It was not 10,000 clients, 10,000 emails.
Oh my.
And I just cried and like didn't know what to do because I'm just like one person.
Yeah.
And like I was working well over 100 hours a week, barely sleeping, eating almonds like on my way to appointments, no self-care, because like I was just driving all over the Northwest trying to like see as many people as I could because there was so much pain. And these emails, I was reading through them endlessly every spare moment I had, and it was like the same 8 questions over and over and over, and I was like, oh well, I'm never going to be able to respond to all of this considering there's another 2,000 emails a week coming in still. And so I just decided to like write the book instead, since it was so many of the same things. And so I wanted to give a little bit of my own backstory, a little bit of the science and psychology behind touch, concepts around communication, all the little lessons that I've learned, and then 19 cuddle poses with the tips and the tricks of the pros, so you can learn to customize it for your own body. So I was excited about it. Looking back, I'm a little disappointed because my editor and I did not land in the same place. So for those who read my Patreon, my blog, the book does not sound like it was written by the same person, because I'm very, very specific writing style that got slashed to bits in that book.
Oh no.
But we made it. It's a thing. It has useful information. It just doesn't have my voice.
But
That's really good to know.
You're working on another one though, right?
Yes. I started another book in 2017 with the goal of like creating a written history of the industry. And I spent years reaching out to different professionals and clients and like gathering stories and information and like doing endless searches and gathering all the data and totally nerding out on all of this.
I love it.
I ended up having a lot less professional stories than I thought I would. Like way less people that are professional cuddlers wanted to share their story in this way than I expected. And so what this book is becoming is client stories and then kind of like a mini biography of me, so that people really can understand like where my knowledge and experience comes from. So you just get like a full experience of my trauma history. Yep. But I'm almost done. Finally, we're getting there. I'm so excited. Yeah.
I'm excited for it too. And I thought about trying to submit some stories for that, and it just I don't know, I have the same problem like a lot of people have, like my clients have, like no one wants to hear my story.
Those insecurities that we project, right? The stories we tell ourselves. I want to know your story.
It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah. And then I just didn't, it's like, well, and then you get busy with life, of course.
Yep.
Goes by.
Yeah, what can you do?
One thing at a time. Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I just feel like I couldn't portray my own story accurately, if that makes sense. Like I recently sought out counseling services through BetterHelp, and I hadn't even thought about it before I like decided to take that stuff, that like, oh, this is a person that I need to, like, I'm starting over, like I have to tell them my whole life story and just realizing how exhausting the thought of doing that was.
Yep.
And I was like, I'll just share with you slowly over time if that's okay.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it too. Just as valid.
Yeah. And but you know, also it's even just like, even if I did it perfectly, portrayed it perfectly, or my perception of doing that, like they're still going to interpret it in their own way through their own story. And so it's just like, maybe it doesn't matter getting it right or perfect. It's like they're going to receive what they need to receive for where they're at right now in their own journey. So
right, sharing that isn't about us, right?
Yeah, it's about the other people who can who can relate to our story. And you know, something that a mindset that's really helped me recently is like, it's not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. That's how life works. Just assume that's the way it's going to be, and then, you know, and then the fewer mistakes you make, you can be more happy. But you know, you're just going to make mistakes. This is part of how it works, and and it's not ever going to be perfect.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Good enough works for me.
Yeah. Good. I'm like, better than it was, or good enough is always good enough.
I love it.
So yeah, that's what you know, when I was writing I self-published a book, so I'm sure it wasn't near the process you went through with your book, but I was just like, I had to tell myself it's something, it's more than was there before, and you know, so I'm very pleased that you've got a book and you're putting out another one, and it's exciting.
Thank you. I don't think I knew you wrote a book, Mary. How did I miss this?
I did. Yeah, I self-published a book. It's called The Art of Authenticity. I will send you one if you want.
No, I'll buy one. Don't send me one. I want to support the humans. The Art of Authenticity.
Crystal has my book.
I didn't start it yet. I just got it, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited to support you, man. I'm definitely pumped. And I'm very much looking forward to your next book, Sam. I was very inspired by your first one. In fact, that led me to want to train with you, to be honest, that book.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Nice. I was going to ask Crystal if you had read it, or yeah.
It was really inspiring to me. And again, it was something that I could relate to a lot of the situations going on. And I was like, hey, I felt that way, or hey, I feel, you know, that. And so it really pulled me to want to go ahead and go forward with the work. So I love it. I'm very impressed.
I'm so glad you did.
Me too.
Yay. Well, you know, that kind of leads us into a question we had of how did you guys get together? And what was that story?
Wherever you are, I'm not sure.
So yeah, I was very inspired as a single mom. You know, I've had a lot of struggles in my own interpersonal relationships, and I came across a YouTube video about somebody in New York doing cuddling, and I came across the books, and I found Sam's book first. That was actually the first real intro into cuddling that I experienced. And I remember reading it. I had taken some really good evolutionary steps to be on my own, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. And as I read the book, I just was so inspired. I think at first I thought, I'm a single mom, I can't do this. This is going to be too hard. How am I going to figure this out, navigate it? And then I was so blessed to meet some wonderful people in Pittsburgh that offered me a safe space to cuddle out of. So that was my biggest hurdle. Is I said, well, I have kids, you know, I don't feel comfortable doing it in my home, and not sure how I feel about outbound yet. So I was really meditating on it a lot. And when I found the space to work out of, within like a half a month, I like got the money together, like picked up and flew out. And it was just really fly by the seat of my pants, if that makes sense. And I was so excited and so thrilled. And it's a kind of funny story. I'm really always having a lot of fun with things. So I planned to bus there. I didn't plan to taxi to her location to cuddle up to me, the space. And the way Google Maps had me traveling, it had me kind of walk through a park. It was raining, I was running, I was late. And I thought I was as prepared as possible, being a mom and everything. I had extra clothes and all that. And I ended up sliding down this like muddy embankment.
Oh no.
Covered my entire outfit that I was wearing, plus everything in my bag got soaked. And I just thought like, oh my God, I'm going to show up here. This is the worst. Like, what am I going to do? And walking in, it was just such a magical moment. I did break down and cry. Of course, I was like, oh God. But I handed her a stone, and she handed me a stone at the exact same time. Like, it was just this magical moment of like, oh my God, I'm here. And just, the amount of intention and kindness that she showed me throughout me being late, throughout me being like wet and covered in mud. She was like, let's use the laundry. Let's get you settled. Let's have some tea. I was like, all right. I was like, okay, this is going to be okay. So it was a really magical moment. And it's interesting because that's happened to me twice now. I was actually Cuddle Sanctuary. I trained with them and I did the exact same thing where I like was late and bust and like walked in almost half sobbing. But again, just the amount of acceptance and kindness that I felt from the Cuddle community has been amazing. So that rock story actually is almost more as important as the mud, by the way, just handing each other a stone. I still have that beautiful stone. It's a labradorite, which I can't pronounce, but I love.
Yeah,
so thank you,
learning
Sam.
to speak each other's languages makes a big difference. Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, I didn't realize how much I missed you until just now.
Oh, what a wonderful experience it was.
Oh,
And
so
I was
glad.
so grateful to go back a second time with my co-cuddler and Jason, and just being able to be present again with you and learning again. You can never stop learning with this industry. So I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, every day.
Training others doesn't mean I'm done learning,
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. I'm so glad you got to come twice.
I know. I'm looking forward to someday when things open up again and I can travel back out to the West Coast and see everybody. I'm hoping that'll happen again someday soon.
Yeah. Come be a guest cuddler at the studio.
Yes.
Nice.
I want to do that too. I want to do
Cuddle
travel
tours.
Yes, cuddle tours. Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
thing. We got to make it happen.
Yeah, Sam V knows all about that.
Alyssa.
So Sam, tell us about your training. You told us earlier you're a master cuddler. So what does that entail? What does that mean to you? And how does one become a master cuddler for all those out there who might want to also become a master cuddler? I know I'm definitely invested in that answer a little bit. So
yeah, so I realized that the term professional cuddler means a lot of things to a lot of people. And I was starting to feel really like disconnected from that term myself, and not wanting to be like lumped in with people that do sex work as well as professional cuddling. I'm pro sex work. I just don't offer it myself. Like it's just not a thing I have an interest in for me. And I think that professional cuddling does like require this kind of like foundation of consent and boundaries based in platonic intention for the term professional cuddling to like have a specific meaning that can be standardized. And I'm so for any other levels. I just don't think it's professional cuddling. And so for me, I decided that in order to separate myself from that term and not be lumped in with like, oh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, professional cuddling, I decided I was going to create a next step in like the training process. So for certified cuddlers, which is the training company that I started, anybody can get trained as a certified cuddler with like a minimum of 30 hours of work, basically, or 40 hours for the in-person program if they want the more in-depth version. And then after you're certified, if you continue to learn and grow through the experience of sessions, if you complete 250 paid session hours, you can then be deemed a master cuddler, because after that many session hours, you have a baseline experience level where basically anybody who comes to you, you're going to have some ability to create comfort for yourself and for them. And so master cuddler is my version of saying, no, this is serious. What I do is like thoughtful and intentional and platonic. There's no next level. You're not going to get some other service while you're with me. And I think that distinction is very important. So that's kind of where that came in. I definitely don't want to shame any sex work. I think it's very important and very necessary. I wish we could decriminalize it across the board so that there'd be more safety.
Yeah, and really I think that's where that inauthenticity comes from, is because it's not allowed legally in this country. And really it's something that's needed. And so like people want to offer that, but they can't do it openly, authentically.
So, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Did I answer the whole question? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Good. Thank you.
So Crystal, are you a master cuddler yet? Have you achieved that? Are you planning to?
That's a great question. So I've been cuddling for 3 years. I want to say on like 2018 is when I started. I don't know if I've hit 250 paid hours. I think like I've definitely seen a lot of clients, but I don't know if I would count things like group events versus individual, because I did do some group event work. So that's a really good thought process to think about. For me personally, I think that it is so imperative to keep learning and keep growing and keep trying to make myself better. So that is why I chose to work on Cuddle Sanctuary's individual and group training. And I'm actually working on Cuddlist training. And I'm always interested in ways, especially in the Cuddle community, to keep training if there's options or opportunities there. Because I think that to feel empowered, I think that one thing that took me a long time to do, I only did it this year, right before COVID, of course, was raise my prices, was go from the 60 per hour to the 80. That was that took me a lot. I actually had coaching and friends and people in my community trying to help me say like, hey, you deserve to be valued. There's no, this is not a negative to say that you want more per hour, that you've been doing this a couple years, that this matters to you, that you're passionate about it. And so I really like the thought process of that title. And I think our title matters. I know a lot of different professional cuddlers will use things like platonic touch therapist, professional cuddler. There's a lot of ways that you can navigate that. So yes, my goal would be definitely to become a master cuddler. And I think right now, one of my biggest goals is to find a personal coach or mentor to work with that can kind of assist me in that growth for the business and then also for cuddling. So that's something I'm kind of in the market or mental intention for right now. But yeah, I hope that answered the question too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I know there's been discussion in the cuddle community of like, how do we know who is
legitimate,
a serious professional cuddler?
Yeah,
because anybody can just say I'm a professional cuddler. And a lot of people that I completely respect in the business, like Sam, started that way, because there wasn't any training then. So that was your only option. And so it's like, I don't want to say that's like not a way to do it, but at the same time, I definitely do advocate for training. I think it's definitely the route to go. And there are a lot of options now. And yeah, and I am nowhere near 250 hours. I don't mind saying it. Although if you count my group events, I might be getting close. But
yeah, I don't think I'm even close with group events. I mean, really, like I started my training and then I took a couple of years off due to illness, and then I was just getting back into it. And then I was at the stage where you were, Crystal, of like people telling me like you're worth increasing your rates. And so I did that. And then the pandemic.
Same exact thing.
And then it's like, okay, so, but really I feel like my offerings have become a lot richer because of that, because of needing to find how to connect virtually and just kind of not redefine, but sort of like expand what it means to, and I also added on, like cuddle therapy practitioner and connection coach. Like I added that because I was like, this is where I want my intention to be. I want people to know this is what I'm working to learn. That like it's me declaring that this is something I want to grow in. And then like that, so then I can help you because I'm also helping myself in these areas, if that makes sense. And that's why I would feel like personally like uncomfortable calling myself a master, because then I'm like saying I've arrived, but like really I know like I still have so much to learn, and I probably always will. But titles at the same time are very important. It's important to value yourself and to say, I've done this work and I deserve to, be recognized for that and for other people to know. So yeah.
Know what the experience is that you and the time and the effort that you've put into this profession. It's not insignificant.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, and even me, I have over 3,500 paid one-on-one session hours at this point.
Wow.
And it still took me a year and a half before I could actually say yes, I can call myself a master cuddler.
I think you can.
Yeah. And there's that point too where it's like, well, you're the one training other people to do what you're doing
Right.
professionally. So it's
But
like,
we're all training
well,
each
yeah.
other. Like,
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm no different than anybody else. Yeah, no pedestals here.
Well, you know, there's roads, there's paths that we take, and you're farther down on the cuddle path than some of us. And so it's great that you'll share your knowledge and help us learn. And you know, someone else may be farther down another path than you. It's we're all
Totally.
people,
Yes.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And that's valuable. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All of our experiences are valuable and valid.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, cool. Let's see. What's our next question? Hey, I just want to give a shout out to our awesome producer who puts together our outlines and our questions for us.
Yes,
Geeta.
thank you, Geeta.
Yeah.
You're amazing. We couldn't do it without you.
Mm-hmm.
Really, we couldn't.
No, we really couldn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Superhero.
Geeta typed some hearts in the chat.
Mhm. Let's see where we're at. We skip around in the questions a lot sometimes because we've been having
Geeta
such
says
good.
18. So
Oh, good.
yeah, I'm
I
like,
mean,
we've really
that's good
addressed like all of
conversation.
these. So okay.
Oh, this
So
was
it's
one of the
America's
ones.
Got Talent.
Yeah, I was nerding out about that a little bit too because I actually have a crush on Neil Patrick
Me
Harris,
too.
which I think I told Sam the first time I talked to her.
As soon as I saw Dr. Horrible, it was over.
Yes, I'm sure you've told this story a lot, Sam, but would you mind telling us again about America's Got Talent, your experience there?
Sure, like from the beginning or just the Neil Patrick Harris part?
Whatever you want to tell us in the next 2
whatever
minutes.
is alive for you, looking back on that experience.
Yeah,
So
whatever you want to share.
I was a pretend contestant on America's Got Talent in 2015.
A pretend contestant, so it was known by everyone. That was
So it's interesting the way they do it. So I got a phone call, like a voicemail, like, hey, do you want to be a contestant on America's Got Talent? I'm like, oh, I'm getting punked. Awesome. You're hilarious. She catches me the next time and I'm like, oh yeah, totally. Send me your contract. Like super mean. Like she's very dismissive because I think that she's just like making fun of me because I get a lot of prank calls.
Yeah.
I get a 26-page contract from Meg or whatever at AGT.com, and I was like,
that was real.
Okay. And so I like get my lawyer to look it over and sign my life away, and they send me out, and the judges have no idea who's a real contestant and who's not. I'm told there's 0% chance I'll make it to the next round, but then that magic thing happens where all of the judges end up stacking on top of each other. That was not planned. It was a miracle. And because they all cuddled, they said yes. And I made it through. And so the second round, I got to go out and be there when Neil Patrick Harris was a guest judge, and they forced him to cuddle with me because there's enough zeros in his paycheck that he's sort
I
of
felt like that was a very bad representation of what we do.
Yeah.
That he didn't get to consent.
It's a great example of what obligatory consent looks like. Not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, and so a big part of why I created my free online consent and boundary setting workshop is because of that moment with him, where he was so uncomfortable. He was like literally shaking, and it was so sad. He was like so traumatized cuddling with me that they actually had to cut out one of the poses because it was like not even funny how terrified he was.
No.
Poor guy.
But I still love him to death. Like, he gave
Did you ever get to talk to him about that after the fact?
You're not allowed to like even make eye contact with the judges.
So you never got to resolve that with him?
No, I mean, if you watched the whole thing, at the end of my clip, they show him and Howie talking behind stage, and he like eats a tea bag to show that he's also weird and like
how weird it
accepting
is
of me. But that was so much fun. I really loved it. It took 5 or 6 days in a movie studio in like New Jersey to shoot that. 4-minute thing.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That was nuts. It was a lot of fun though.
But you got a lot of publicity from that, a lot of exposure.
I was averaging 9 million viewers per episode, and I was technically in 3 episodes.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what did that do for your practice or for you?
So, I mean, I was already pretty out there, but it's like, this is the thing, like, I feel like such a jerk talking about this kind of stuff, because there's not like a humble way to say I've done like over 400 media interviews and been on the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
That's a fact. You don't have to be humble about that.
I mean, it just feels like such a humble brag all the time talking about that and like having experience. It's very awkward because it doesn't make me better than anyone else, but it all like saying that being on AGT didn't really change my life. Didn't really make a difference having 9 million more people see me when 150 million people already had. Like, that feels like such a jerk thing to say.
Well, I think it really helped promote cuddling in general. I think even just raising awareness. I'm so happy and so grateful that so many people were able to see you. Because again, I think that you're a great example of boundaries and cuddling. And so if people, see you first and then are like looking you up and researching, they're going to get some good info, which I think is amazing. And I was going to say awkward moments are amazing too.
I love awkward.
Awkward moments all day.
Awkward moments.
We love it.
Thanks for jumping in, Crystal. I was just about to ask you that actually, of like, what did you think about that, Crystal?
Yeah, no, I think that sounds like a super cool experience. And I've only watched little like tidbits of it. So I'm going to have to rewatch it. I'm like super pumped.
Yeah, there's some good little snippets on YouTube now.
Yeah.
So fun.
Well, the next thing we have is something we touched on a bit. So really this is for everyone. But just gender dynamics and cuddling, like ratio of male to female, and also non-binary people who don't identify as male or female, or just something along the spectrum, or just something totally different. I've never talked about this before, but I consider myself more gray gendered. I do go by she, her pronouns because it's simpler. I don't really feel more comfortable with they, them pronouns. And like my sex is female. I just don't see like gender roles as being extremely important to my identity and how I express myself. So yeah, just like what is there for you guys around gender, sex, like sex in terms of male, female, not sex like we were talking about earlier, but yeah, that and your practice, like how you relate to clients, how your clients relate to you, like what is there for you to share about that?
Crystal, you want to start?
Oh, okay. So, and I love chatting. I love rambling.
Go for it.
So for me, I want to say that I want to say that in my past, I've gone through some personal like gender fluidity and pansexuality where I just feel very open and just love everybody, just very super like if you're a human or if you're an animal or if you're a being on this planet of plants, I love you. And I think that gender roles have really been such an interesting and massive shift recently where, I see like even my children, my kids are 10 and 12, and even in their schools, they're discussing gender roles a lot more. I think that for me as a professional cuddler, my goal is to be open and available for any gender role or any sexuality or any gender. I do think that as a human female, I tend to attract a male gender at this point for sessions. I've noticed that has been a higher ratio in a lot of times, but I'm always so excited and so grateful when I get the opportunity to work with trans or with female. I've been so happy to expand the roles that I take on. I think that we discussed a lot about understanding the male perspective, understanding that victim versus empowerment. And so I've had a really wonderful journey with all of the clients that I've had from both genders in kind of like understanding that in my own world, and then also being able to be more present for them. So I think that if I were, again, to have a desire to open up my practice more, it would be to a little bit more in Pittsburgh anyway. We're a very open-minded city, but I think there's still some hurdles. I'd like to work with disabled, immobile, and completely isolated individuals more. And I'd like to work with the trans population more than I do now. But other than that, I've worked with a lot of really wonderful individuals. And I think that continuing training has also helped me expand, because in training and in group events, I'm able to get a more diverse clientele, which is amazing.
Awesome. Good
Yeah,
work.
thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you for sharing
excited about
that.
all of that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I think for our studio, our like basic demographics have been fairly consistently 60% male, 25% female, 5% other. And the 5% of people who identify on, you know, any sort of other version of that is the thing that really like strikes my heart chords, because it's so frustrating to me that like the research I've done is mostly on transgender humans, to be honest. I don't know a ton about gender fluidity and these other things, although I'm always excited to learn anyone's experience as a human person's or meat bag or, you know, whatever
Meat bag.
makes sense.
Love
it.
We're all just meat bags in the void.
I love the term
You're
meat
assigned
bag.
flesh. Your soul's assigned flesh suit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so for me, it's very frustrating because professional cuddling is not very accessible to the transgender community because of the cost of it. Transgender folks are much more likely to be paid less, to be like made into victims in different ways. I don't like using that, but you know,
or basically be unemployed or underemployed.
Yep.
Or what they're
not
able to work,
right.
How much they're able to work.
Yeah. And so we started doing this thing called sponsor a session, where people who have the means can go on our website and pay $1 or more, and it goes into a pooled fund, and they can specify with like if there's a specific group of people they want that funds to go to. So I've got the Excel spreadsheet, and they can label it however they want. And that can 100% of that goes directly to the cost of someone coming in to see us who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we
Wonderful.
are planning to create for Nurtured Nerds as well. So, but I'm glad to know that it exists in other places.
It's been really useful for our disabled clients who were you know on Social Security, and for transgender clients and homeless clients. I'm so for every human deserves the same respect and kindness, and I'm not always going to say the right thing at the right time or know the right thing to say. I've definitely had a giant fight with someone who was like coming to interview with me, and I didn't know how to answer the like what my pronouns are in the right way, because I've never had to think about that. Like, not a thing for me. If you call me he, them, it, whatever, I don't care. It's not a thing for me. Like, I'm not offended by any of these. Like, whatever makes sense for you. So that was the wrong answer, and so I got in big trouble.
No, you have to care about this.
Right.
Well, and that might have been the wrong answer for that individual, but that doesn't mean it was the wrong answer.
Yeah, and so we had like a 30-minute discussion about this, and like we stopped the interview, and I was like, wait, you're upset with me, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And we went through all of these things, and like I learned better ways to answer that question that makes it safer for them to actually express what their pronouns are and to feel like I'm talking in their language.
That's excellent.
That's such a gift to be able to have that moment where somebody gets mad at me. Oh, wait, I can learn here.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's something I admire about you, Sam. I've seen you do it lots of times where something happens and maybe it's awkward, but then you're just like, okay, let's figure this out. What's behind that, so that maybe it won't be so awkward next time, or people won't get hurt. So you're really good at that. Good job.
Thank you. That's my favorite hobby.
Yeah.
Navigating awkward situations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, learning how to like human better for specific humans.
How to human better. Yep.
That should be your next book after the one you're writing now.
Learning to human better. I love it.
Yes.
How to be a human.
Yeah.
All the aliens on the planet would buy it.
Yes.
True.
Makes me think of Third Rock from the Sun. They're like, someone's on to us. This is a trap.
They'd probably be too good at it after reading that book. And so we'd be like, you can't be a real human. You're just way too good.
Yeah, that's how you know a human's faking it, is they're too good at being a human.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Oh man, there's so much more to unpack with gender dynamics, but let's go on to the next question. Maybe we'll have to do a whole podcast on that. I'm just thinking we need to start doing some by subject, because these subjects can be so deep.
We're planning to have some podcast episodes in the future be more of like a panel discussion with several people. Idea. So that would be a really good one for that. A really good topic for one of those. So.
Definitely. You guys want to come back for that discussion?
Sure.
Yes.
Crystal gives a thumbs up.
Yay. Cool.
Sam too.
Well, the next one is, I met Crystal and Sam at Cuddle Expo. So it was such an amazing event to me, very transformative for me getting hooked into the cuddle community. Do you guys want to share a little bit about your experience? Crystal, you want to tell us what you thought of Cuddle Expo?
Yeah, sure. I really, it was an amazing, wonderful dive into the cuddle world. And it really opened my eyes to seeing all the different possibilities and how different, there's people on the, all across the world that showed up. I actually was so grateful to show up in the way that I did, which was I volunteered to help. So I got to watch different sessions. The experience was a little bit more affordable for me as somebody who was kind of still integrating in to the cuddle world and always trying to be clear on my levels of abundance and how much money I spend and whatnot. But it was such a good adventure. I came with my co-cuddler, Jason. We came together, and there were three definite big group cuddles throughout. So not only did I get to take classes during the day, meet people in the industry, learn about different training opportunities and different opportunities throughout the cuddle realm. But some of the classes were talking about virtual stuff. I remember Janet having a very wonderful class that talked a lot about, like, here's how you do virtual stuff. Here's how you socially market on the internet. And that was just such a rich class for me and such an important thing to start to see the other business avenues and the other aspects of cuddling that I could look into. And again, I think that coming at it from the perspective of volunteering and being kind of new, it was a humbling experience, but it was also so beautiful. Those group cuddle events, I mean, I cried like every night and bonded so well with people and made such good lasting friendships. So that's my perspective was so good. I cannot wait for another one to happen. I hope that
Me too. I didn't get to go to the first one. So I'm like, let's do it again soon.
I want to do it again.
Definitely.
I want to attend again.
Yeah, to attend. Yeah, I know.
Attend. On that note, you organized your own cuddle event or your own cuddle conventions, right, Sam? Like, what has that been like? Or have you not?
So I got roped into CuddleCon, the world's first cuddle enthusiast convention back in Valentine's Day 2015. I got roped into it because the person who was created the event and called it CuddleCon was a blues dancer who decided that he wanted to do a blues dancing and cuddling event, and then realized the place that he had booked for it was 4 blocks from my studio. And so he came to me 3 months before the event was supposed to happen and was like, I haven't planned anything. I don't know what I'm doing or what's going on. I have the website. Can you put it all together?
Oh God. Okay. Here you go.
And so I'm working 100-hour weeks. I have the retail studio that I'm doing. I'm teaching certification trainings. I'm writing this book. My world is in utter chaos, and then I have to do this on top of everything else. I'm a lot of these things that we're talking about now are fairly fresh in my mind because I am editing the chapters of the book on these things. And so I'm like, oh wait, don't share that part because that's funny in the book later.
Keep us in some suspense. Keep us in anticipation.
Yeah, that was rough. I absolutely 100% hated it the whole time. I apparently met Faye Wyatt who did Cuddle Expo at that event. She flew to Portland just to come to this event from California, and she like pulled me aside at one point, found me, and I like immediately dismissed her because I had 8,000 things going on. And the last event, it was sardines of people in the back, like way beyond fire code, and I literally spent the entire event like huddled under my desk crying.
Oh my god.
Oh my
so
goodness.
overwhelmed. I had to pull it together as they were doing the closing events to like give everybody hugs, but they were all like cuddle zombies, so it didn't matter. Nobody was like, "Are you okay?"
Well, now you know how you want an event in the future not to be. So
Yeah.
that's something.
I will never again host a convention or an expo.
Good
But
to
I'm
know.
so grateful for Faye like allowing me to be a speaker and like participate in the straw model. It was so cool to come together with all of these, like, because we're all very scattered in the industry. Like we're not very connected, and especially like on, you know. And so it was so cool to like be in a room with Madeline, Faye, and Janet, and Sam V, and all of these people, and like create a foundation for our industry. Like we all agree on these terms of what professional cuddling means and how we define it. That was amazing. Yeah, that was really cool.
Transformative work there with you guys. So that's
yeah. And just like Crystal, I also made some really deep connections there with Keely and Janet. Janet's like my best friend now. We Marco Polo all the time, even though I've only been to see her once. She sent her son to me for spring break. Amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And you guys participated in the big cuddle party in the Cuddle Sanctuary. Yeah. Did you like the group events at night that we did?
I'm not huge into the group cuddles myself. My energy does not match that because I'm super extroverted, and so I bring the tone up and I want to like talk and play, and people want to chill, and so I often don't do well at group events, even though I've hosted a lot of them because I also got training from Cuddle Sanctuary on group stuff. But
that's interesting that you say that. I definitely have a high energy as well, and can kind of feel that when I have events, sometimes I'm moving around more than people want. That's interesting.
I hate having to like censor myself so much when it's not a one-on-one session. I'm like, this is work now.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt weird at the big cuddle events, big group events, because there were so many people that you could only do your little intro with a small group, which is a good way to handle a big huge group. But then I only got the initial connection with those 5 or 6 people that were in my initial intro group, and to me that just didn't really work.
And
unfortunately
I have specific trauma with group of events that Cuddle Sanctuary has helped me heal a lot, but
that's good.
Not my personal favorite. So I love that other people benefit from it.
Well, what I did love was that we got to see the different formats for the group events. And you know, we got to see Marcia host, who is one of the founders of Cuddle Party, and and do a Cuddle Sanctuary event. So I loved that part of it, to see how they do it differently.
I enjoyed the little consent circles that we did for Marcia's, and I really got a lot out of it, especially because I had no experience with group events. So it was actually really like fulfilling, because I got to be kind of the client in those situations. It was very much like nurturing for me.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice. Good. Yeah, hopefully soon. I know it was a ton of work for Lisa Meese and Faye Wyatt and Keely Shoup, and I'm sure I'm forgetting other people, but you know, I just am so appreciative for what they did and brought us together that way.
Absolutely. You did amazing.
Our next question actually ties in very nicely with our current Nurtured Nerds raid content, Jerk Proof Your Relationships, Cassandra Brown's awesome course, which is that just like the self-connection that happens through platonic cuddling, through professional cuddling, that helps your relationships, like whether it's romantic, sexual relationships, or with family or with friends. Like it helps in your relationships outside of that client practitioner relationship. And I'm wondering if you guys have anything to speak into that.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I love when people allow themselves to use sessions as a way to like get clarifications about how they're being perceived. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorite things is like I do like online dating coaching a lot where I'll like check through people's profiles and be like, get rid of that picture, that's not doing you any favors. I've even taken pictures for people, like whatever it takes.
Awesome.
And so for me, it's so exciting to like be able to like, you can ask me literally anything that you want about my own perspective, because that's the only one I can share. And I will tell you exactly my truth and like be 100% honest with them only if I've gotten complete permission to do so. But then they get to learn about what's comfortable and what's nice and like why that movement is too whatever, and how to do it differently so that they can really have that confidence to like go out there and be their natural selves without having to overthink all the little things that we do with our bodies, So cool.
Yeah. And I've even heard people say like after they learn how to manage boundaries and communication, they're better relationships in the workplace.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Crystal, what do you think?
I was going to say, I actually think that, yeah, exactly what you said, Mary. I think that all of my relationships personally have become better since being a professional cuddler. It's a really interesting and wonderful thing to be able to start to see my own habits and then also be able to work with other people. I've had a lot of wonderful experiences just with my kids, with my parents, in the dating world. I took a lot of time while I was becoming a professional cuddler not to date. And I think that actually was really important and I needed that time. And I think that cuddling really helped evolve me in that sense. And so even looking at a lot of clients that do come to me, they have those same questions of like, hey, I do want to be better in connection. I do want to be more relatable. And I love the idea of what you said, Sam, is just being so honest with them, getting that consent first, but being able to give them that advice. I think that, again, people really need that. A lot of times in a beginning of a relationship, people are always putting on a facade. And so to have someone that can really reflect back and say, hey, look, this is what I see. Here's what you could do if you want. But I love it. Yeah, a lot of really good growth, I think, on both ends.
Nice. Oh, you guys are so heavy with the cuddling. I love it. It's such great conversation. But what we haven't done yet is nerd out on some stuff. I want to hear some more nerdy things. What's your number one nerd thing that you want to tell us about today? Sam?
I restarted Stardew Valley maybe a month ago, and I'm in the beginning of year 3, and I love this concept of I go out in my yard and I do actual gardening, and then to relax, I do pretend gardening on my computer.
Wait, is this a gardening game? I'm not familiar with it. That sounds awesome.
I don't know it either.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, what's the name? Will you spell it?
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. It's Stardew is one word. It's the sweetest game. It was made by one dude like up in Seattle over like 5 years. And it's the sweetest little game. So it's like it's kind of based on like Harvest Moon. And it's like I always forget the number of pixels, but it's like the, like 90s version of game imagery.
Or 16-bit?
So, yeah, I
don't know.
I did I think it's called Farmtopia or something in Facebook like 8 years ago. Is it like that?
You basically are given your grandpa's farm in this tiny little town of Stardew Valley, and you can plant crops and like cut down trees to gather resources, and you can mine to get different gems and build things, and you can get a horse, and you can have like pigs and bunnies and a dinosaur. There's a dinosaur, you guys. And I'm like
waiting for that.
I'm growing. The dinosaur is my thing.
Yeah.
I'm growing like 11 jillion strawberries. I am not a min-max gamer. I do relaxation gaming. And it's so fun. Like you get to know your little townspeople and you can give them all gifts and you build up like hearts for your relationships with them.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
I love it.
So,
Yeah.
that's
So I
fun.
heard that you are also a crafting nerd.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was showing them earlier. This is a background for
Gorgeous.
crazy painting. So my stepdad makes wax figures for Ripley's Believe It or Not here in Oregon. My mom
Wow.
like has made every conceivable like
Is that
clay
a
incense
gnome?
burner. Smoke comes out of their ears.
What? That's awesome.
Awesome.
She's showing us a little sculpture of like a little gnome there. That's really cute.
I love it.
And so my mom and my stepdad are both artists, and that's like how they made most of their living throughout my childhood. And like being around that creative spirit, I literally had to buy a giant IKEA shelf to store all of my craft stuff because I can't just do one thing. Like I have a giant Tupperware of acrylic paints next to me here, and then I do sewing and I make my own masks and I paint things, and oh my goodness, it's really endless, all of the different things that I have attempted to make. And I call it all playing art because I do not have the skills of my parents, but it's real fun to play.
I definitely relate to having a ton of crafting supplies and a bunch of different kinds of projects.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
Good.
have several big storage tubs, so
Yeah, it's all organized at least, but yeah.
It's self-care though, right? Do you feel that way?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Totally.
Creation
Yeah.
is a form of
Creation.
self-care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I got into painting swear words on coffee mugs for a while.
Love it.
Love it.
So I think you have some nerdy stuff to share with us too, right, Crystal? I know you said Zelda.
Yeah.
Did you bring some stuff to share with us, or?
You know what's funny is my Zelda game is like giving me trouble. I'm kind of a dork. I have these really cool chakra like activation yoga cards. It sounds kind of weird, but
Ooh.
yoga is something I've been really loving. And I took a class. It was a Zoom class with a wonderful lady. She's located in Pittsburgh, but it was a nice Zoom thing. And we did heart opening, like yoga, like poses. And it was just we did affirmations. I want to say that that's kind of a thing I've been nerding out on is self-care, just like all the different avenues of self-care you can do. And yoga and any mind body practice is super like hardcore in my mind. So I have been using Zelda a bit during the winter. That's been kind of like a video game that I've been you can cook in that game, you can fish in that game, so it's very silly, but it's just super, super fun, like no matter what. But yeah, I was also thinking about what you guys said about the crafting and creativity and like those juices flowing, how important that is. I try to like write or journal every day or like write poetry. And my daughter, whenever she's with me, she's like a big fan of using garbage materials, not like but like scrap materials and not wasting, if that makes sense. So we'll use tissue paper, buttons, whatever, and we'll kind of like create a 3D type of art or a more three-dimensional. I should have brought some of her art with me. I have it all over my walls at home, and she's like my little artist. So I think I think I nerd out about my kids a lot more than anything else, probably. but yeah.
Great.
Lots of
Well,
good
I know
stuff.
for me, a big part of my crafting supplies is like stuff to upcycle.
Yeah.
So I totally get
Me
it.
too.
It feels good, like repurposing stuff that would just go into a landfill. So
I agree. 1,000,000%. I'm really trying to promote less waste, zero waste if possible.
yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But I've been composting. I am a big dork for composting too. That's like my thing right now. I'm like, can it be composted? Can it? Like, are we doing that? And there's so much.
So you have a yard that you can like do that in?
So I live in an apartment, but I do, I'm very grateful and lucky to be able to use my significant other's yard kind of as my own little garden space. I've been trying to help him and work with him. And I bought him a composter as a gift for him. I was like, this is for you. He's like, really? Really, is it? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yes. I have so much fun learning what to compost and what to put in there and being like, can we? Because again, there are things that like, depending on what you're using it for, like cat litter is probably a no if you're gardening in the garden, but there's different ways. So it's very, very cool. It gets more intricate than people expect, I think. Composting.
Nice. What about your karate stuff?
I've been so missing Taekwondo. I'm actually hoping to get into a Tai Chi or Qigong. So when when coronavirus hit, we did go a little bit. We attempted to, but it was so difficult and different. And like we did it outside for a bit, and then we had spaces. And at one point, it just became a little much. And so my kids and I, unfortunately, are not doing it right now. I am hoping to get back into a martial art, though. I think that, again, just like yoga, martial arts are so beautiful. The philosophy behind it, just the amount of mind-body connection that you can have in that practice. I've found it to be flexibility increases and mental health increases. So I'm very much hoping to get back into it.
I definitely have
Thank
been
you for
wanting to get
asking.
into Tai Chi and
Yeah.
like there's this particular kind of yoga, I believe it's called yin yoga. Like it's restorative yoga.
Oh, I do that.
Because
Yeah,
I have
love that.
I have like really low stamina and like really low strength. Like my body's just like really needs just love and just to be like just patience and it's hard to know how to give that to myself without pushing myself too far. Because a lot of exercise practices out there are like pushing your limits. And for me, like I have a nervous system disorder and like I can hurt myself and like I don't want to do that. I want to give my body what it needs, and there's just so many options out there. So it's really awesome to know that like I have so many people in my life that I can just ask about that are just also interested in those things. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
That's wonderful, Alyssa. I think yin is definitely a good practice.
Tai Chi is a really beautiful practice too, and it's hard. I mean, I remember thinking I have to give myself permission to really enjoy this practice because it's slow, it's mindful. But if you do it, you will develop your balance and your stamina if you have a ongoing practice with it. So it's like, yeah, it's lovely meditation.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for, Mary?
Oh gosh, not very long.
Okay.
6 months maybe.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it did it as long as it felt good, and I want to go back to it, but apparently not bad enough to actually do it. So someday I will.
That's right. Someday.
Yeah,
That's what I say. I'm going to do it when I'm ready.
When I want to, when it works, it'll be there. Yeah. I love hearing what people are excited about, and I love seeing the energy in your face and your voice, and when you're talking about stuff that you love. So thank you for sharing your nerd out with us.
Yes.
Yes,
Yay.
absolutely.
I don't think we get 2 more high energy humans.
It's awesome. I never really thought about like just celebrating nerdiness before, but that's like my favorite thing now.
Every day.
Yes, that is why I created this. It's
yes.
Like connection, yes, but also like part of that connection is celebrating each other's nerdiness, because everyone's nerdiness is like a little bit different of a flavor,
Well, yeah, it's
like even 2 people that are nerdy about the same like general topic or general like types of things, like it looks different for everyone.
Yeah. And we should never, I know so many people feel bad about like, oh, I'm a dork, I'm a nerd, but you shouldn't feel bad about stuff that you're excited about. Like this is your life. I know. Yes, I'm a dork. My friends are doing the play Shrek right now, and they have that song like "Let Your Freak Flag Fly." If you guys haven't seen that, you should go look it up online.
Say that 5 times fast. Let your freak flag fly.
Let your freak flag fly. I can't say it fast because I'm a dork too, but I love that song.
But I am also a nerd, so I know that I am not indicating that I am a whale's penis.
I was just thinking that same thing when Mary was like, I'm a dork. I was like, oh.
The other guy.
You guys are fun. Well, we're getting to the end of our time. Is there anything that you guys want to share that you haven't had a chance to say yet?
Come hang out with us at my Patreon events. It's $1 a month, and I want more people because it's
intentionally
so fun.
Sam, I just joined this week, and three virtual events every week. Yep. It's really great. I didn't go to the one yesterday because I got the vaccine on Thursday, and it just kicked my butt. I'm feeling much better today, though.
Good.
Well, I got the 2nd dose, I should say, so I'm like done. But I went to the game night one on What day was that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
excited to
good
keep
group.
going and connecting with everyone. So
Yeah.
yes, please
Yeah.
join
Nice.
Intentionally Sam on Patreon.
I was gonna say, tell
I'm
us how to
totally in.
find you and exactly what it is.
Patreon.com/intentionallysam. I do 3 weekly events, Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, and then I do free writing blog posts about my personal life.
Yeah.
I'm an oversharer.
And it's like nothing. What is it, like $1 a month or something?
$1 a month, yeah.
$1 a month.
For
Yeah.
access
reasonable.
to everything. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. What other offerings do you want us to know about?
I've been doing one-on-one cuddle sessions all year.
And you are in where?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland. So if you're
Yep.
in Portland, look up Sam.
Yeah. Or anywhere else, join Patreon.
Yeah, join Patreon. Virtual
Yeah.
sessions too, right?
Not for me.
Oh no, you don't do virtual? Okay.
Cora, one of my teammates, does.
Okay. Good to
Yeah.
know. Good to know. You got to go to Portland, you guys. Crystal, is there anything you wanted to tell us about?
Well, I just wanted to say, first off, thank you for having me here today. And I'm so grateful I could be with you wonderful ladies.
Yay.
I'm still offering sessions in Pittsburgh. I do the virtual as well. I've been really grateful to kind of learn to navigate that. I'm still always learning. I do hope to have some outdoor park socially distant events at some point where we're just walking around in the park and kind of connecting in that way. And that's something that I'm waiting for the weather to get a little bit nicer in Pittsburgh, but yeah, I am, always excited to connect to people. So yeah, always feel free to look me up.
You've got a website, right?
Oh, I do. It's crystaltherapy.cc. And that's, at Gmail, that's the email, but it's www.crystaltherapy.cc.
Okay, great.
And I'm on Facebook as well.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
And of course, you can stay while we chat a little bit more if you want. We hope you will.
Well, we're gonna definitely need Sam's help with the cuddle pose of the episode.
That's right. We definitely need your help with that.
I have the monkeys I can use to demonstrate, but
yeah, let's do that next. So yeah, this is our first guest, cuddle pose offerer. Yeah.
So
do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite, although it's like the most complicated one to try and explain and try. It's like very pretzel-y. It's called Gummy Worm, and it's the squishiest cuddle pose of all time.
Nice.
It's my absolute favorite. Like, you're basically one person at that point. The name comes from, if you like leave a bag of gummy worms in a hot car and then they melt into one, like you can kind of tell that they used to be more than one. That's my favorite pose because squishy. It's good. So they start lying on their sides facing each other. One person puts their bottom arm out under like the rib cage of the other, and then one will put their arm around the neck of the other person, the bottom arm, around the neck, and then let's see, so the one will put their head on the shoulder, they lean in towards each other, and then one puts their leg over the belly of the other.
Okay, so is it this guy?
So it'd be the brown one would put the leg over the belly because that's the upper one, right?
Something like that. And yeah, your legs get all pretzel-y.
I'm just gonna.
And then you hug around. Yeah, it's basically that.
Yes. Alyssa's tying the monkeys in a knot right now.
That's my favorite.
I love it. Gummy worm. There you go.
Very comforting. It's a little weird to get into because I usually have people go onto my shoulder because I'm like creating the safety, and then you have to like keep their eyes closed because otherwise they're like, oh my god, she's putting me in her boob, and I'm like, no, it's not what's happening, don't worry. You're on my shoulder. It's okay.
I love it. Gummy worm. There you go.
So good.
Your limbs become like the gummy worms.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yay.
All right.
Yeah, nice job, Alyssa. That was a tough one.
I just gave up and was like,
that was lovely.
Yep.
She was
mushing them together.
You got the spirit of it.
So much fun to watch. I loved it.
Crystal knows this pose.
That's awesome. Oh, well, I think we should tell everybody where they can find us and all the things they can get in the raffle. Alyssa, what do you think?
Yes, I agree. Yes, so our website is nurturednerds.com. Our YouTube channel is named Nurtured Nerds. We'll put the links for those in the description, and any links that Crystal or Sam want us to share, we'll put there as well. Please subscribe and like the video if you liked it. Don't give us a thumbs down though. No, I'm kidding. And comment. Just tell us what you think. Tell us what you want to see in future episodes. Like I said, we're planning to have panel discussions as episodes in the future. So let us know who you'd want to see on a panel, and what you would want them to discuss.
Yeah, what topic?
Yeah, we are on Reddit, /nurtured nerds. The ends are capital. Facebook, we have Nurtured Nerds Community. That is our private group. When you join membership is free. On our website, on the Become a Member page, there's a link for our membership application. It's a Google form. And so we have that. And then we have just a public project page, Nurtured Nerds, on Facebook. And my individual practitioner website, the irlsupportmain.com, will be coming soon. Our Discord server and Twitch stream will be coming soon. And our current raid, Jerk Proof Your Relationships, at cassandrabrown.org.
We need to see some Stardew Valley on our Twitch stream.
Yes. I don't want to be the only one streaming. I would love guest streamers, and I don't want all of the streams to be, super high energy games. Like some of them I want to be like more relaxing, like Sam, you were saying that's how you like to play, and I really enjoy playing that way as well. Crystal, I'm not sure. I think you also are somewhat that way. I've never played Zelda, so I don't know like how intense it is or not. So
it depends.
I just know it's awesome.
there's both levels there. Both levels.
Cool. Oh, that's good. Good balance. Yeah. Our Nurtured Nerds care package that we're raffling at the end of the last day to sign up for membership to be in that raffle is May 28th at midnight Pacific, and we'll announce the winner of that on
all new members who sign up.
Yeah, all you gotta do is fill out the membership application and you're in the raffle. Assuming you're not being super disrespectful, like we won't consider those ones, but there's the bar is pretty low, basically. Just be honest, but also be respectful, and you're in. That's it.
Yep.
So the items in that will be a free 30-minute virtual session with a professional cuddler, either me or someone else on our team, after you do a screening with them and make sure you're a good fit. And a free electronic copy of Mary's book, The Art of Authenticity, How to Be You, a $20 Steam gift card, and you will get to submit. Well, we'll work with you. If a question doesn't work, we'll keep asking and try to find a one that does work. But you get to submit a question to be answered on a future Nurture Nerds podcast episode. So yeah, let us know what else you would want to be in future care packages, and we'll consider it.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, I forgot one thing. A discount for the current raid for Jerk Proof Your Relationships. The price did go up. Cassandra will work with you for payment plans, sliding scale, anything. She just wants you to invest in yourself. And so she'll work with Nurtured Nerds on a discount for you. And please check it out whether you win the care package or not. It's really great content.
Yeah.
CassandraBrown.org,
Jerk Proof Your Relationships.
with hyphens between the words.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's exciting. So we'll have that drawing after May 28th, and we'll announce the winner, and they'll get a lot of cool stuff. So come join us. You have the chance to win a big care package.
Yeah. Are we feeling nurtured?
Yeah. Are we feeling nurtured?
Yes.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Self-hug
All right.
time.
Hug time. Hug yourself.
Give yourself the love and affection and good feelings that you give to another person when you hug them. Give it to yourself because you deserve it too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and if you guys can't see the video, you should see the smiles going on here because they're just shining right through the screen at me. I love it.
Love you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love
And
I'm
you,
so
and
grateful.
you.
I love you all.
you
I'm
too.
so grateful.
You guys are all so cute. Fabulous. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being on Nurture Nerds.
Yeah, and
Thank
please
you.
join us next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, yes, now we're done.
Now
we're
Yeah.
done.